it has played its part in commemorating a season of life that I hope changes the world. Goethe, an 18th and 19th century writer, referred to a letter as an immediate breath of life. Today the streets scream, "I can't breathe," into a morning sky, repeating the last words from several black men who have been brutally killed at the hands of the police. We hold signs, take to the streets and pull fire from our throats. We eternalize the last words of these men by forcing them into the everlasting journey of the wind, in the hope that we keep breathing long enough to see our grandchildren scream only in laughter and not in protest. Perhaps you will stumble across this audiobook years from today, during a time when letter writing no longer serves as a form of documentation. And as you get to the last line, you might wonder whether the year 2020 was fiction or non-fiction. As I piece together this letter, I wonder the same. Living, or at least surviving, has begun to feel like an existential satire. In an attempt to convince my body that it is not an actor in The Truman Show, I write obsessively about the times, hoping to make sense of the pandemic we have found ourselves in. No, not COVID-19, a much older disease, racism. I have worn black skin for centuries, and over these years my flesh has been weaponized, regulated, discriminated against, bleached, incinerated, sold, and yet, somehow, I have survived. Somehow I smile, but you won't remember me from my smile. You will remember me from a photograph that forced a large percentage of the watching world to pause, to stop thinking for long enough to question their thoughts, to question their bias and decide how they felt towards a 6'1" black man lifting a barely breathing white man from beneath blood-stained shoes and carrying him to the feet of police officers who picked their other, arguably less essential job of documenting the violence for evidential purposes, as opposed to stopping the incident on their selfie sticks and smartphones. Depending on which side of favour you fall, the thought of a police officer not doing their duty to defuse the violence and protect the violated may seem appalling during a moment such as this. But by 2020, this hardly came as a surprise to me, a black man who believes that if life and death cannot discriminate, then nor can we begin to play master over who deserves to live or die. On that Saturday, near Waterloo Station, when I saw a man's breath being robbed from him by righteous rage, I saw only a man, one whose death would scatter a family, but also tarnish the Black Lives Matter movement in a way that I knew we could not afford, not after such a global display of peaceful, progressive momentum. The centuries have shown this compassionate position to be held time and time again, almost exclusively by the victims of those who kill to hone their omnipotence. Perhaps, as black people, we have no choice but to be graceful, to suppress our anger and pray that in our peace we can remind the world of our shared humanity, even though, like animals, we are still hunted and killed for our skin, despite our imposed demureness. Across my TV screen in the weeks leading up to this particular protest, I and the rest of the world watched graphic videos of the police murdering innocent black people. We saw how our worth was valued. We waited for verdicts on indictments or arrests that never came. We watched children's innocence become a life of protest during the short time it took for a policeman to suffocate someone's daddy. We watched the worry grow on our own mothers' faces as history continued to hurt. We wondered why, for centuries, white people felt entitled to our very breath. The wonder mobilized, and we took to the streets to convince everything under the global sky that Black lives mattered just as much as any other. But the unambiguous objectivity of a united quest towards equality sent a shiver down racist spines. When you've held power for so long, equality will look like oppression. An anti-Black Lives Matter protest was announced by the EDL founder Tommy Robinson, who we will talk about a bit later, in the middle of the biggest global movement towards equality. A spear